Hi, everyone. It's Marianne Goldweber, spiritual teacher, medium clairvoyant, and owner of a Village Personal and Spiritual Development Center, coming to you live tonight from our video podcast called Marianne's House. I started doing this at the beginning of COVID about 4 years ago now to keep everyone connected and inspired. And we've just been doing this now every Wednesday night for the last 4 years. I think it's been 4 years now. My God, can you believe it? Anyway, get your beverage of choice and your notebook, and let's hang out together. The message tonight that we're going to talk about is releasing the magic and how to be inspired to do new things in our life. And I'd like to talk about what limits you. So, for those of you that have never done this before, welcome. This is Marianne's house, and I'm Marianne. So, we talk about all kinds of things. So, I upload these to YouTube after I'm done, so you guys can always go rewatch all of them. And there's lots of different topics over there on YouTube. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, that way you'll be notified every time I do that. So, you don't have to necessarily catch me live. You can catch it when we're done. So how's everybody doing? I usually wait for a second to let everybody get on and acknowledge they're here. And if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to send me a text message. My phone number is 216-324-2657. Or you can post your questions here, and I will answer them. If you text me, make sure you tell me who you are. Hey, Sarah. I love your little goats. I love watching the farm animals. Hey, Ralph. Hi, Emily. Hey, Diane. Yeah, thanks for joining me, everybody. It's so funny. People only watch this for so many minutes, which is their loss. But, yeah, I like to get started by talking about the things that limit us. So why don't you guys post that on there? What limits you from doing new things or stepping out of your comfort zone? If anyone wants to share, that'd be great. And I'll answer those questions. So let's see what's new. Oh my goodness. We had a weird shift in energy yesterday. I'm not really quite sure exactly what that was about. But the day started off great. And then somewhere around noon, there was this kind of shift. And everybody got real sullen and crabby after noon yesterday. So if you guys felt that, I'm not quite sure what that was, to be honest with you. None of the astrology's really changed that I'm aware of. So anyway. So we're coming out of it today. I had a pretty productive day myself. So we have events scheduled every weekend for those of you that want to book a holiday party with your corporation, your friends, your family, and I do those here every weekend, Friday and Saturday nights. So if you go to my website, which is mariannegoldweber.com, and you go to the events page, you can see all the different events that I have. And every Tuesday are classes, which I do via Zoom. I'm going to probably start doing those exclusively on Zoom. So who we got? What's going on, guys? Talk to me. They're so cute, Sarah. You should do TikTok videos with them. Well, hi, Denise. Yeah, yesterday was just a strange energy day. Well, and this is a time of hibernation. We're going to be on December 21st is the solstice. So we're going to be going into the season of winter. So up until then, everything kind of grinds to a halt and slows down. It's a time of hibernation. It's a time of reflection. And it's our new year coming as well. So, there's a lot of different shifts of energy going on that are natural. And so once you understand those ebbs and flows of that, it just makes things go so much smoother when you just kind of get into that cycle. And the reason I wanted to talk about what limits you is because unless we go to those limiting perspectives and realize that they're just illusionary fears that we need to step through in order to release the opportunities that the universe has for us. So I wanted to see what you guys had to say about that because, the things that have limited me in the past are, maybe the same things you struggle with. So I'd rather see what you got to say than me just telling you what I think. Limits. Diane says, look forward to spring already. Okay, well, we got to get through winter first, friend. It's all purposeful, though. We don't want to skip ahead. We want to really, it's kind of like eating a giant meal and not digesting it properly, not taking the time to digest it. So that's kind of what reflection is. It's a time of digesting what we've already had, what we've already experienced. And then you can ask yourself, wow, what part of that did I like? What part of that did I not like? And how could I do it better going forward next time? So this time of reflection is super important. If we can really dig in and go through some things, heal that, and then let it go, it's going to make room for, wisdom and better choices and new opportunities to appear. So let's talk about those limiting things that stop us, and we'll talk about ways around that. Workarounds. I love a workaround. But the universe can't stop us. They can't interfere in our free will. So if we're not willing to stop or we're not willing to look at those things, then there's nothing they can do, no insight they can give you that's going to inspire you when you're not willing to step forward. So there we have it. So Sarah said, so again, the topic tonight is magic, releasing the magic by looking at what's limiting us. And Sarah had indicated that in the notes here, if you guys take a look at the comments. Hi, Amanda. So Sarah had indicated that it was financial fears. Right. So when we use the word fear, guys, fear is false evidence appearing real. So getting accountable financially is really hard when in the past we've maybe had issues with scarcity or lack. And so that fear or panic that comes with not having enough puts a block to opportunities and the abundance that's available from the universe. But we can't just sit, at our computer scared to death of stuff if we're not planting new seeds of creation of abundance. And so those fears go away when we start planting those seeds of opportunities. Now, as a self-employed person, okay, it's a constant process of having to market yourself, keep it fresh, do new things, keep yourself visible out there in the world, and showing up. And that's really hard when, meeting new people, networking. All of those things are ways to plant seeds in order for new things to start growing or appear in the future. So rather than sitting and being afraid of lack, we're kind of calling that in because it makes you feel panicked and you can't move. And fear is a very limiting emotion. And, I always practice gratitude as well, which is another thing. So we've received all these blessings prior in our life, and expressing gratitude for that and knowing that we're, showing gratitude by the way we spend money, by the way we handle finances. And quite often it has to do with coming from a place of scarcity, and that takes time to kind of unravel that thinking, Sarah. I totally, completely understand. I wasn't raised personally with good understandings of money. And so, there was always this panic that was ensued when there were financial issues that needed to be addressed. But avoidance was the problem in my early life, was avoiding those things and reckless spending and things like that. So, again, you are accountable. And, the more accountable we are and the more we take the opportunity to plant seeds in the future, doing those networking things, we're telling the universe that we're willing to step out of our comfort zone and act as if it's on its way. And so, another really fun trick that I do with myself is um, you write down who. I'm sorry, this music is distracting. I apologize. I've got my little fireplace thing going on back here. So another trick is writing down your fears. Writing down the thing you're afraid of, and then reading it out loud, and you'll come to see that there really isn't that much, that it's not true. And then you burn that or release it, and that's a way of letting go of those fears. So giving them a voice and writing them down, and then when you read it out loud, it loses its power. That's another way, is writing it down, getting it out of your head, and you'll find that it's really. And then I ask myself, well, where is this coming from? Where did I learn this from? And then that's an opportunity to go back and heal that place, and to release that and know that I am accountable, I am abundant, I am grateful. And so also serving unconditionally is always another great way to go ahead and, show the universe that you're trusting and grateful. And going out and serving is a nice way for us to know how abundant and blessed we are. It doesn't have to require a lot of money to do it. Time is something that you can do that doesn't really cost you anything. Is giving your time freely to just get out of your own stuff long enough to notice the needs that are out there in the world. There's always somewhere to serve. Who else we got? So Emily had said her limits are time and commitments. It's interesting about prioritizing. So time is a funny thing. And when we look at time and commitments that we make that are preventing us from really doing things that we want to do, we need to make time for that. Okay? Even put it on a calendar if you have to. And start going back and looking at the things that you're committing yourself to. So the things that limit us, being time and commitments, is prioritizing. Okay, so quite often, if there are things that I'm feeling obligated to do, anytime we're doing something out of obligation and not necessarily because it's something we want to do, we don't always go into it feeling unconditional or that we want to just do this thing. So we have to kind of schedule this stuff at first. Put yourself on the calendar for something fun that you want to do, and look at the commitments that you're making and ask yourself, am I doing these because I feel obligated? Am I doing these because I'm afraid to say no? So if you dig into that time and commitments, what are you committing yourself to, Emily? And is that something that is a priority? So truly prioritizing who and what is important, and then making the time to, we have to have time to do that. So I have to tell you, back in the day, I used to volunteer for everything. Yes, I can make cookies for the bake sale. Yes, I can go to the field trip. Yes, I can. And then I caught myself committing myself to all this stuff that I couldn't really keep up with. I couldn't keep up with all that stuff. I was a business owner, a mom. I had so many things going on. And as much as I love to do those things, I had to limit the amount of those obligatory things that I kept volunteering myself for, because there was no way that one person could do all those things. So the priority was one, me, two, the business, three, my kid, because if I don't make money, we don't eat. And again, my commitment to myself is resting and refilling and recharging. And because when we're full and rested, we set better boundaries. Okay, we can set better boundaries because we are more objective. When we have the energy, we can actually respond versus react. So letting, before you say yes to anything, give it a, take a breath and give it a day, 24-hour cooling off period before you commit or obligate yourself. So it just depends on what it is you're committing yourself to. But time is an interesting thing. Um, but we have to look at what are we committing ourselves to that's taking away our time. And don't forget, we have to put ourselves on that calendar as well. Having free time or time to be still and present, that's like eating dinner. It feeds our soul, it feeds our spirit, and that's just as important as making a meal for ourselves. So we have to look at who or what we're committing to. So that's kind of how I feel about that. How do you feel about that, Emily? Let me know. So hi, Monica. Hi, Colleen and Dina. Hey, Gray. Well, thank you guys for joining me tonight. So releasing the magic is really about stepping out of our comfort zone and I have to tell you guys, okay, I've been doing these events, um, and it's almost like everybody has kind of PTSD after the last 5 years of being isolated. And so people don't really know how to behave and how to interact with human beings. Just having casual conversations, or everybody's just so socially awkward. And so it's going to take some practice for us to get out there and to start really doing those things where we're feeling more confident. So I have to tell you, one of the things that used to limit me is not feeling good enough, or not feeling like um, my insecurities used to get in the way of me doing things. And I used to sabotage stuff on purpose. Like, I tell this story about me and Dottie Cooper one time, and she had invited me to a networking event, and I was really low. I was in the middle of a huge transition, and so I got to the networking event. I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I was finding a million reasons not to go in. Like I was like, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, you know, this isn't my kind of people. Oh, this isn't going to make any difference. Blah 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 blah. All this just awful, shitty committee in my head telling me all these awful things, and so that's why I named my saboteur Monica. Okay, and it's like a bad 6-year-old that doesn't want to go do what they're told. So anyway, so I'm like, okay, so I've got a million excuses, okay, for why I'm not going to go into this event. So I called Dottie on the phone, and I said, hey Dottie, it's me, Mirror. I'm just not feeling it tonight. I don't really feel it. She goes, where are you? And I said, I'm in the car in the parking lot. She goes, put your shoes on and get in here. you know? So, I mean, she kind of challenged me, and I got in there, and it was like somebody had to call me on my bullshit. And so that's why it takes a village, guys. We need each other to go, look, you're sabotaging yourself, and I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you do that to yourself. And so it takes love and it takes friendship to really call people on their bullshit and call them out. And it was so funny because I was laughing so hard. By the time I walked in there, it was a whole new attitude. So that's it. Is that we need other people, guys. And when you're alone with the shitty committee in your head, your mind can be a bad neighborhood, and that's not somewhere you should go alone. Okay. And so we need other people to keep us honest and sane and um, encouraged and supported. And so that way, when that happens, you've got somebody on the outside who sees you, knows you, and has no trouble saying, hey, you're better than this. You deserve more than this. And that's all we do for each other, guys, is hold each other up. Well, we're all figuring it out, but this stuff's going to take practice. The universe can't help you if you're crying in your car, sitting there, not sabotaging events, sabotaging opportunities. We ask for opportunities, but they don't come in necessarily the package you expect. And so we go, oh, that's not for me, or, oh, they're not going to like me, or, oh, whatever. Okay. Do you serve cheese with that wine? Okay. So that's where we come in and go, all right, I see you. What are you doing? Come on, let's go. And sometimes we just need that encouragement or that other person to help us out, to push us through that discomfort. And it's all an illusion, guys. So if we really want opportunities, we've got to have the courage and the village behind you to tell you, you got this, you know? So this is why every other Sunday I have the Serenity Sunday. This is a wonderful place to share these things, to talk about our dreams, to talk about the things we want to manifest. I mean, this village is a plethora of wisdom, of information, of people who've already done it. It's a great place to get inspired. We have some amazing conversations, by the way. And so, hey, I want to let Dina and Gray know for sure. I looked up the pricing on the axe throwing. So not this Sunday, which is Serenity Sunday. Next Sunday, I think I'm going to schedule axe throwing. So if any of you guys are interested in going axe throwing on the west side, give me a call and send me a text and let me know that you're interested in doing that. And I'm going to put out an event with the prices and everything. So we have to schedule it in advance, so everybody has to prepay for that. I think it's like $25. It's pretty cheap. And it's like an hour or two, depending on how many of us there are, to do that. So that's it. We, practicing, getting out of our comfort zone, going and doing new things, meeting new people. All of that takes effort. And the universe can't help you if you're not going to make the effort. So how do you release the magic? By stepping out of your comfort zone and physically putting it into the physical world. That's the best way to do it. And you don't have to do it alone. So what else limits you guys? Let's hear from you. So Andrea says, this is how I feel every time I go to the gym. Right? Okay, so I want you to, so Andrea, give your inner child, your petulant 4-year-old inner child, a name. Okay? I call mine Monica. And so I catch myself, kicking and screaming like somebody's taking me to the doctor. Okay? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go. Oh my God, oh my God. Oh no, it's exhausting. Okay. And the 6 inches that we're asking you to go. And so you got to catch yourself. And that's where I go, Monica, put your shoes on and let's do this. And the minute you step through that discomfort and you get there, you're fine. Right? But boy, I'm telling you, that shitty committee's got a million reasons why we shouldn't do stuff. And it plays on your worst fear. So whatever your worst fear is, I'm not going to be liked. Insecurity, whether it's personal, emotional, spiritual, but the minute you step through that comfort zone, all these really amazing things start to happen. Yeah, so give Andrea, why don't we all today name our inner child that's petulant and willful, that doesn't want to do what it's told. And we're going to, use our little person name and go, come on, little person, this is good for us. We're going to enjoy this, So you got to kind of parent yourself because, we haven't properly been parented. And as a parent, I've had to push myself and my child through our discomfort to go and do things. There's a lot of things I did as a parent that I didn't want to do, but I did it because my kid needed me. Well, your inner child needs you too. And success is wonderful, and having new things is wonderful in your life. And you can't, sit on your couch and cry the blues and wait for the, pizza man to ding dong your doorbell and deliver it to you. We have to step out and through that in order to get that. But that fear, false evidence appearing real, is a smokescreen that just, it's a cloudy thing that just doesn't want you to make it, doesn't want you to succeed. And so we've got to close our eyes and grit our teeth and just push through and know that we've got this cheering section on the other side waiting for us, telling us, come on, Marianne, you got this. Let's do it, And that's where, your loved ones, your guides, all the things on the other side that love you are bringing you to it. And now it's going to take you to put yourself through it, okay? And it's really an illusion. It's not real. Fear is not real. It's a memory. It's insecurity. It's whatever that limiting thing is that lives inside your head. We don't want to listen to that anymore because you're better than that and you're worth it. So what's your inner child name, Andrea? Trixie? We got to give her a name. That would be fun. Oh, so Andrea's actually on the treadmill as you watch this. Well, good for you for getting there, girl. I'm so proud of you. Oh, that's funny. Right. Sometimes we need that push, Melinda. Exactly. And we can't really, I mean, we're not always going to have other humans to do that. But this is why, like in programs of recovery, you have a sponsor. You have somebody who's going to lead you through the wisdoms and go, okay, come on, what are you doing? And so think of it like having a sponsor, having somebody who is not going to listen to your bullshit, who's going to call you on your crap because, we've all done it. And so, that's what the village is. It's a giant recovery support group, basically. We're all recovering from some insecurity, something that made us not feel good enough. And that's why coming to a Serenity Sunday or just re-listening to these podcasts, you can go on YouTube and watch. There's ones on fear, there's ones on grief, there's all kinds of topics. And so just know that, we all have this imposter syndrome thing going on in our head that we don't feel good enough. But again, just so you guys know, most people out there are faking it till they make it. They don't. Nobody knows what they're doing out there. So you're a rock star compared to some of the folks that are out there doing it. And Jared and I talk about this a lot. Is you find these less talented people who have no shame to their game. They just promote themselves. They're they don't even know they're not that great, but they got the chutzpah to go out there and promote themselves. And I've seen so many incredibly talented people that are so humble that they don't want to be braggarts, so they won't promote themselves. This is why we call them starving artists, because you've got to be your own cheerleader, guys. And I know that those more sensitive, fluid creatives um, struggle from insecurity or never feeling good enough, and that's a dynamic. Is sabotaging ourselves or staying so humble that we don't want to appear arrogant. Well, arrogance is insecurity. It's fake. It's not real. Confidence is knowing who you are, knowing your talents, being encouraged and stepping through that fear and promoting yourself. That's not easy. Trust me. But once you do it, the universe rewards you right away. Like you'll get a confirmation that it was you did the right thing, because that we're so used to hearing no or some critical thing that when we step out of our comfort zone and ask for what we want, sometimes they say yes. And that's the part that messes people up. They're like, what? They're waiting for the no or the whatever, but, no shame, no harm, no foul. You've got to ask in order to do that. Who else we got here? Hey, Catherine. So Catherine says, this is just what I needed to hear. An opportunity came up this month, but I hedged. That's another fun word. Because of taking care of my elder ladies. Okay, so again, this is about prioritizing, Catherine. We can't help people if we're not in a good place. And, again, sometimes people obligate themselves to things because then they can use it as a reason to not go do the things we need to do for ourselves. Now, I have to tell you, I'm not a kid. I'm 61 years old. And I've taken risks, I've leaped, I've, achieved. And, this is about simplifying at this point in my life. But there's still a lot of things that we need to be doing. We need to keep it fresh. We need to learn new things. You're not going to learn stuff sitting on your couch watching, the television set. Or sometimes we obligate ourselves to things or get ourselves, dependent or depended on, and now we can't get out of it. So hedging is a good way to put it. That's another great word. And so you hedged because you're taking care of my elder ladies. I don't know what that means, but do you have to do that? Do you have to do it as often as you are? Psychically, I feel like it's more an excuse than a reason. So yes, we don't want to, if the universe is bringing us an opportunity that's going to grow corn for us, sometimes we're going to have to, disappoint people or let them know I can't keep doing this. And, sometimes we're just doing it because there's nothing else going on. So we have to look at and prioritize the activities that we're committing ourselves to so that we have room when these spontaneous opportunities appear. And being clear also, Catherine, what you want. So Monica said, I've been told I have 4 guides. That seems like a lot. Okay, guides. Okay, so I don't know who told you that, but we have the wisdom of the entire universe behind us. So it's not like we're all just assigned 1, 2, or 3 souls or guides or, we have ancestors and relatives. So that's a really loaded question, Monica. We actually have hundreds of guides, thousands, unlimited supply. And so, yeah, I don't know who told you that, but, I have one guide that I primarily work with, doing media, the work I do. And for my own guidance, I utilize my guide. But that guide isn't it's not a person. It's connected to an entire network of spiritual things on the other side. So he's like the spokesperson for the entire group. So think of it like that. 87 in hospice. It's time to repay the love I received. Yes, I understand, Catherine. If you have someone who's in hospice, and that's a temporary thing, and but it's yeah. So I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but like I said, sometimes, and this is interesting because I'm with people at end of life quite often, and they always expire when you're not there, and so their higher self knows. It knows your heart, and, doing what you feel is best in that moment. But, they also don't want you necessarily hedging an opportunity for that either. So that's a difficult situation because, that person is important to you. And this is a temporary situation. Hospice isn't long. And so, yes, so there's a difference between things that are obligatory and things that we're using as excuses to not take opportunities. So that's a little different. Okay, so thanks for opening the door to the guide thing. So Dolores says, I need to know who my guide is. Okay, we all have guides. That's that little voice that tells you go do that or don't do that. Okay, close your eyes. Ask your inner voice, what would you like me to call you? And just know that you're being guided. But the problem is they can tell you all day what to do, but if you're not doing it and you're putting it off or you're blowing them off, it doesn't matter how many guides you got. You don't need to know who your guide is. Just know that you are being guided. And just trust your inner knowing, which belongs to your entire stage crew, not just one being. And yeah, just do what you're told, Dolores. Not out of fear, not out of insecurity, but doing the next right thing. Hector says, season's greetings to you, Marianne, and the entire clan and their families and friends. Well, hi, Hector. How's life for you, friend? Glad you joined us tonight. And we love you, too. Yeah, we've all come together in interesting places to find each other. God sent us all to each other for whatever reason. I love you, Dolores. So another thing that the universe can't work through or deliver magic to is when we're inconsistent. So think of it like building a trusting relationship with something that you can't see. Okay? So whatever labels you want to put on that helpful thing on the other side that's helping you, whether you want to call it guides or God or creator or universe, universal helpers, ancestors, relatives, it doesn't matter. They can't help us if we're not consistent. So again, the proof's in the pudding. So this is why we do most programs one day at a time, because we have to show the universe that we're worthy and we're consistent and that we're going to do it. Even if we don't have any evidence, even if we don't feel like it today, that consistency is removing blocks in the road where, again, we want to be worthy of the new things that we want. But if you're not taking care of the blessings you have, or you're pissing away time and energy on people, that you have dependent on you, who could be fending for themselves, then the universe isn't going to give you new opportunities because you're the block in the road and you're not consistent. So let's look at being consistent more, guys, too, as, creating new habits take time, patience, and consistency. And so, yes, consistency is the big problem because we're all or nothing. We're on all the way or we're off all the way. And so, if we want these new things, we got to act as if. We've got to create a fertile ground for those things to be planted. Whether you feel like it today or not, we've just got to start creating consistent action so the universe can start giving us more consistent opportunities. So I don't know if that helps. Colleen says, what does it mean when you feel like somebody's behind you watching you because I be your inner guidance? Yes. Could it be your inner guidance? Yes. So, we all have things on the other side that are guiding us. The challenge is they're not allowed to normally let you know they're there because it would interfere in our living. Okay. So this is why faith is trust in the unseen. We're trusting that this thing's here. Now, once in a while, you may feel like something's standing behind you, but that should bring you comfort. But that's not going to happen all the time. But yes, that is your inner guidance, which, sounds like you and your inner voice, because you just know what it's saying. But yes, sometimes physically you can feel like somebody's got your back. They're standing behind you because they do. They've got your back, whether you can perceive that or not. So knowing that will definitely help us, and I have to tell you, Colleen, that person who stands behind you a lot is a very strong male figure. He feels like a dad or a grandpa. And so, yeah, with this giant, wonderful person, supporting you, that should give us confidence. That should help us feel more confident in stepping through and stepping through some of those things. So, yeah, so how do you release the magic? By going first. By stepping through our discomfort. So identify what's limiting you. Write it down. And then you ask yourself, where did I learn that from? Who taught me that? And now we're grown people. We're not that little 6-year-old person. We're not that little 8-year-old person anymore. And now it's time to parent yourself. To say lovingly, hey, Marianne, come on, girl, you got this. We know what to do. And if you don't feel good enough, call somebody and say, I need a little encouragement. And so that's what the village is about. I've seen so many amazing friendships start with just showing up every other Sunday or coming to a moon lodge or showing up at a channeling event. You get to meet all kinds of new people, and the cool thing about the channeling events is you hear all these messages, not just the one directed at you. You get to hear messages through all the messages you're hearing. And then you're looking at people going, wow, you do that? I do that. Wow. We share this in common, guys. And so we're not alone doing this, but we've got to leave our flippin' house to get that to happen. Like I said, they're not going to ding dong your doorbell like the pizza guy. So step through your comfort zone. I dare you to show up at a Serenity Sunday, which happens to be this Sunday from 1 to 4. Okay, if you're really serious and you want new things in your life, come meet the rest of the gang. Come hang out with us. It's a wonderful day to just meet new people and feel empowered, And if you got something to let go of, we'll pull out the fire pit and we'll burn it. And we'll do it together. So it's nice to know that you have other people who believe in you. I don't even know you and I believe in you. Okay? And I don't know who the poo-pooers were in your life that planted that seed for the shitty committee in your head. But they're gone. They're done. We got to be done with that. Okay? And let's start hanging out with better folks. Kinder, more badass people who've done it. So like I said, this is a support group. That's really what we do, is support each other. And I want to give you these tools of understanding because one day I'm not going to be here anymore, guys. And you're going to go, wow, what did Marianne say about that? I'm here to give you these tools so you don't rely on people like me, that you trust yourself, that you trust that God of your understanding because it loves you and it wants the best for you. Okay? You're worth it. Yeah, fear. What an illusion. But trust me, guys, I've been limited by fear. You know, we get knocked down, it's hard to get back up. And that's why we have each other pulling each other up. That's what we do. Okay? And I'm not just talking about my village. Join a support group. You know, get involved in recovery. Okay? That communities like that are wonderful resources for encouragement. So I'm not just saying do this. Go volunteer somewhere. Meet other volunteers, people that are out there doing kind works, you know. It gets you out of your own, just, you know, your own way when you're serving others unconditionally. You know, we don't want to avoid our stuff. But there's times where we got to get out of our pity pot and start just thinking about other people. You know, how about I need encouragement? How about you encourage me? Okay? I'm here alone a lot, guys. You haven't, you know, I inspire myself. You guys inspire me. You know, we're all human. We're all out of here doing it. What inspires me? Sitting with my guides, working through my emotional crap. You know, all the things I teach you are the things I do myself. And yes, do I have an inner critic in my shitty committee in my head? Yes, who tells me awful things, okay? But not all the time. Because, you know, like I said, I've been doing this so long. You know, it happens not very frequently, but when it does, it's you know, damning. And we have to pull each other out of that. Okay? We need other people to encourage us. And that's what we're here for. That's what I like to do. Encourage you for your best self, no matter what we've experienced. There's redemption. No matter what we've done, you know, there's hope. And it takes a village. It really does. And so, yeah, let's release the magic. How do you release the magic? By eliminating the things that are limiting you. So let's dig in and look at that. And I dare you guys to show up to a Serenity Sunday. It's going to be this Sunday from 1 to 4. If you can't make it, they're every 2 weeks. Come join us. And stay tuned for the axe throwing. We're going to start doing some outside events, which are going to get people excited about new things. So come meet some new folks. All right? I'm going to sign off here. So let's see who we got and what's left. All right. I can't wait to hear Andrea's little monster name. Aw. Well, we're going to pray for your person in hospice, Catherine. Dolores, I miss you, girl. Aw. Thanks for joining us, Hector and Ralph and Debbie. Yeah, it's your grandpa or dad man, Colleen, standing behind you. I think that's so cool. You know, I've got a 7-foot Iroquois Indian stands behind me. Sometimes he's hugging me. Sometimes he's pushing me. Sometimes he's, you know, just hands off and letting me run with scissors. Donna says, your channeling events are great. I miss Serenity Sundays. Well, you're going to have to pop out and visit us when you're feeling better, Donna. You're welcome, Monica. Yeah, we have literally thousands of things helping us over on the other side. But they all, you know, they come through as people for our comfort, okay? They're not people anymore, you know? And like I said, we're out here on the space station. They're home at NASA. And we're up here, you know, wondering how they're doing. We need to worry about what we're doing. You know, we want to leave this world better than we found it, friends. So I'm so grateful for you guys today. Release the magic. Get out of your own way. And if you need encouragement or support, give us a call. And come to an event. So classes every Tuesday. Serenity Sunday every other week. Channeling events are every weekend. I think the next available weekend is next week. Not this weekend. These are full. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys. Come hang out. I'm a lot of fun. Can't wait to see you. All right. If you have any other questions, give me a call. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being part of my village. And let's pray for each other in our world. Keep the peace. Love you all.